Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatleyTV. It's time for your match weekend preview to the Italian Grand Prix round 16 of the FIA Formula 1 Championship. Can Ferrari win their home Grand Prix? Well, let's discuss. Wrong intro, sorry, my bad. Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatleyTV. It's your weekend preview for the Italian Grand Prix. Quite a bit to discuss, actually. First, and yeah, we'll see how things are going to play out this weekend. We know there's a load of penalties everyone is going to be taking. Let me just engine penalties Monza. Right. So we'll let you know who's going to take all those penalties, including it's going to include Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, and also Lewis Hamilton. Carlos Sainz definitely, and Sergio Perez as well. So both Red Bull drivers. Besides, I saw coming because obviously with that that incineration he had in Austria. So yeah, we'll see. So people could say it's pretty much an open door for Charles Leclerc, right, this weekend. But we've seen how good Verstappen's been from getting from the back of the grid, and he's only dropping 5 places. Don't forget as well. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But first off, I wanted to discuss, I'm going to give you my opinion. I don't feel comfortable doing the Grand Prix this weekend. I will do the watchalongs as promised, the qualifying and the race. But obviously here in the UK, being British, obviously football's cancelled this weekend. The Premier League's been cancelled because of the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and it's been for a lot of the British people, it's been hard, and the whole of the nation is really kind of broken in a sense over this, losing our monarch who's been on the throne for 70 odd years. And so I was expecting maybe this race be called off. Being a British sport, it was started in Britain, where I think the Queen did turn up to the first ever Grand Prix. But obviously back then she was only the princess with her father on the throne. But I've been really it's been hard for most of the British people, myself included. So yeah, I do agree with the football being cancelled, but I believe all sports should have been cancelled, in my opinion. All of them, every sport going, because it's not just in Britain. She it's not just the British people she touched. She touched people around the world. Wherever she went, she touched so many people with such unity in sort of places that have seen so much war and difference. For example, like going to Ireland after all the troubles and being that unity there with the British and Irish is something that no monarch had been able to do in 100 years. So I was expecting maybe this race to be cancelled or even rescheduled for this weekend, knowing that the Singapore Grand Prix ain't till the 1st of October. Maybe it could be pushed back till the week after this weekend. But no, they've decided to go ahead with it. FP1. If everyone saw Friday practice 1, you'd seen everyone took a minute silence because of what happened. Because it was Friday, it would be what happened on Thursday at 6 p.m. when we all found out. Sorry, excuse me for one sec. Jesus H. Christ. No one wants your attention. As soon as you go live, everyone wants your attention all of a sudden. Typical. But anyway, as I was saying, oh, goddamn dog. Yeah, as I was saying, like, I was expecting this race to be called off. Really was expecting it to be called off. And probably wanted to. To be fair, I just didn't feel in the mood to watching any sports this weekend. And it will be a hard one to watch. It's hard to do any streams at the minute, to be fair. Because to most British people, it's like losing a family member, in a sense. Because it's just there. It's nothing different. The thing is when we're in a crisis or anything, she's just there to got like the one person to turn to, like the one constant thing to turn to. So there you go. But anyway, the Grand Prix will go ahead, and there will be a minute silence at as there was in FP1. There will be a minute silence at the Grand Prix itself just before the race start to honour her memory and just say thank you for being who she was for the whole world, not just Britain and the Commonwealth, for the whole world, everywhere she went. So anyway, I'm going to move on to obviously these penalties. Obviously, I'm not going to go on for too long because we want to prepare for qualifying. But the penalties coming around, there's a vast amount of penalties. I want to let people know, do you agree or disagree with the penalties or not? Is it something you want to keep seeing in Formula One, or do you want to see it being stopped? So these are the penalties so far. I know these are introduced so that teams cut costs, but like seriously, surely there's another way of doing it. So Max Verstappen takes a 5th place grid penalty for, I believe, a change of gearbox. I believe that's a change of gearbox penalty, that is. So it means he's probably using an extra gearbox that he shouldn't have done. That's probably because of what happened at the start of the season. Esteban Ocon as well will take an extra gearbox, I believe. Sergio Perez will be next to take. Perez, Verstappen on internal 5 basically taking his 5th. Internal combustion engine, sorry. While Perez drops 10 places for a 4th one. Why is Verstappen having to take a 5th one? That's what makes the best me the question. He's so far ahead. But there you go. Hamilton's power unit change confirmed on Thursday with the Mercedes 7-time world champion dropping to the back of the grid, having taken every engine component bar the control electronics and the energy store. Well, if you're going to start at the back of the grid, surely you take the control electronics and the energy store as well. If you're going to start from the back, you might as well take the other two. That's what I would do. If I'm F1 manager and I know I've got to take a power unit, right, I would have done all of them. Right? Albon ruled out of Italian Grand Prix with appendicitis as a replacement, which is Mercedes' reserve driver Nick de Vries, prepares to make an F1 debut. Right? I say Mercedes, and the reason he's a Mercedes reserve driver is because Mercedes just pulled out of Formula E, and Formula E, he's also been world champion, not the last season, but just gone, but the season before. So, Red Bull drivers Verstappen and Perez will face drops for exceeding their respective edifications of the internal combustion engines. So Perez must have taken. So you get a 10-place grid penalty for taking an extra one, but if you take another one on top of that, you only get 5. Sure, it's to stay consistent, shouldn't it? There you go. Ferrari driver has received his allocation of gearbox components plus ES, turbo, control electronics, MGUH, and MGUK, and therefore will start from the back. So why not take an internal combustion engine while you're at it as well? And that is probably because half his car was left in like it was being left under a grill, like it's been toasted, like absolute barbecued in Austria, right? If you remember, he was struggling to keep the car stopped and get out the car quickly enough because the car was completely in flames. So that would be the reason why he's taken those penalties. Valtteri Bottas, 15 places. Let me see what they say about him. Yuki Tsunoda, who already dropped 10 places to accumulate 5 reprimands over the season, will add to his penalties with a whole new power unit components. A further 3-place drop has been added to Tsunoda's tally, plus 2 penalty points after the failed to slow down. He will start at the back of the grid. Honestly, come on, mate. That's poor form. As for Alfa Romeo's Valtteri Bottas, he hinted at incoming penalties after his late on-track stoppage at Zandvoort. The Finnish driver has new engine components and is to drop 15 places. Esteban Ocon has been added to the penalty list as Alpine announced he will take a 5-place grid drop as the team have fitted a new internal combustion engine to his car, while Haas duo Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher are all set to. Do you know what? We might as well just name everyone on the grid. It's literally like half the grid have been named of dropping places. So that's Mick Schumacher, Kevin Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon, Max Verstappen, and I believe that's it. That's 10. That's half the grid taking engine penalties. Well, it's really going to mix up the grid for qualifying. You're going to lose track on the amount of penalty. Like, you're going to lose track about who's got a penalty and who's what, and who's getting through to Q2 or not. It makes no sense, really. So, though you've got qualifying result, you might as well just completely ignore the qualifying result that comes through on the F1 website and just look at starting grid, because that will be the actual qualifying result. Because like half the grid are taking penalties, and of course they're taking penalties at Monza. The reason they're doing it at Monza is of course it is a track you can overtake at. Long straights, big braking zones. It is a natural overtaking circuit, right? That's why they're all doing it. I was expecting the Mercedes to, because their power unit is the worst of all. So if they're gonna try and compete this weekend, it'd be easier to take a whole power unit. So they got the freshest engine, so they got the freshest horsepower, right? Because the fresher the engine, the more horsepower you have, right? And they need that. Makes no sense whatsoever, guys. Really don't. Big up for 4 people watching. Big up to everyone who's watching. Do smash that like button and hit that subscribe button if you are new. Do you know what? So, like I said, this I'll give a quick preview of the circuit. Obviously, qualifying in 1 hour and 22 minutes. So, the first Grand Prix was back in the first ever season, back in 1950. It has a number of 53 laps, circuit length of 5.7 kilometers. That's 306.72 kilometers race distance. So it goes. So it's considered probably one of the fastest Grand Prix on record. I think that was 2018, 2019, something like that, I believe. It was certainly 2020 or 21 because the amount of safety cars. But let me have a look at 5.7 mile 793. That's that's basically 3.6 miles. 3.6 miles that basically is, or 5. If you want to be exact, 3.599. Right. The lap record held by Rubens Barrichello back in 2004 when they were chucking out close to 1,000 horsepower. Obviously, no one had dare go in the pits during 2020 or 21 or 21 before the end of the race, because if they did, they'd put a set of softs on. They would have easily smashed that record. Right, the fastest ever lap has been done here in terms of how many miles an hour, how fast a mile an hour, average mile an hour is. And it was set by Lewis Hamilton. So it was 1 minute 18.8 in qualifying. Trying to see. (164.2 miles per hour). That was the fastest lap. Jesus Christ. Beforehand, it used to be under Juan Pablo Montoya. It was 162.95 miles an hour. So if you want the fastest lap in F1 history, and you want to beat it, go to the Italian Grand Prix and set something faster than a 118.8. Then you might get it. There you go. Useless pieces of information. Right? So obviously this race was last won by Daniel Ricciardo, thanks to Max Verstappen and his antics, right, at turn 1. Right? I won't let Lewis past even though he's already passed me. So though it's never going to be an overtaking manoeuvre, I'm just going to come steaming up the inside and hit the sausage curb anyway. Right? And the funny thing is, he would have gained more points, right, and had a bigger and still had a bigger advantage going into the end of the season if he just let him through. There you go. But because he was ahead in the championship, it was like, no, can't let him past. Can't let him past. No way. So there we go. But you will find the Mercedes struggling at this circuit. Their power unit is not comparable compared to Ferraris or Mercedes this season. Very underpowered this season. So the advantage they used to have in their power unit being the most efficient, it's very reliable. Right? It used to be very reliable before they took engine penalties. But probably the reason they're taking engine penalties now is because it is Monza. It's the only way they're going to compete. Right? If they were having a power unit fast enough, I don't think they would take a penalty now. Right? So for me, it's very reliable, but the problem is it's just not fast enough in a straight line. Simple as that. So you'll probably see a very, 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 very skinny wing. A very, very, very skinny wing. But yeah. So it's also a circuit where you can tell the difference in the wing compared to other circuits. Other circuits you can see the massive box of the wing. This one you can see just a little thin strip. Right, as they try and cut off as much rear wing angle as possible to get maximum straight line speed. Because like I said, it's all about straights. It's not about corners in this circuit. Last time someone tried a bit more of a higher downforce setup, not too high, but higher than others, was Jenson Button in 2010. And as soon as he pitted, Alonso and Massa, who were behind him and all over his gearbox, for most of the race, just couldn't get past because he was so good in the traction areas. As soon as he pitted, Massa and Alonso sprinted. 2 laps later, they pitted. They were already ahead, miles ahead. So having a higher downforce setup than others can really punish you around this circuit. So you want to try and thin out as much as you can and try and have good traction as well. Right, whoever's got a good car that's got good traction, despite having low rear downforce, is going to be a really good car around here. Right, and and has already got a car that's already got a good front end before taking some front wing away, is going to be a really good car around here. Simple as that. So keep your eyes out for those sort of cars, those sort of drivers as well that like maybe a good front end car, right? And maybe like the back end to step out a bit, because they will be very fast around here. So we'll wait and see. Big up, Luke. Yeah, I'm fine. Well, I say I'm fine. I'm not really, to be fair. But there you go. But yeah. Anyway, what I'll do is give my predictions for this weekend, and then I'll call that a massive wrap. So, qualifying, we can't predict half the grid because half the grid's got penalties. So Leclerc, Russell, Norris, Ricciardo. No. Norris, third. Russell for qualifying. No, for qualifying. Russell third. What am I getting at? For qualifying, Norris third. Russell second. Leclerc first. Right? Leclerc's getting pole. If you don't get pole, there's something wrong with him. Right? There's something seriously wrong, and there's seriously wrong with that Ferrari team. Right? For the win, Leclerc should win it at a cruise. Right? You shouldn't have anything to stop him. I'd say Russell will probably get third because Verstappen will get him, because then he dropped 5 places. I don't think Perez will come through as quickly through the grid as Verstappen did in Belgium. So I'd say Hamilton will get in the top 10 somehow from the back of the grid. And who will I go for third? Fuck it. I'll try and see if Norris. Yeah, Verstappen will get second, and Russell will get third. That's my top 3. Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell is my top 3, and that's because Verstappen's only 5 points behind, only 5 places behind. Big up, mate. Hope you're doing well. Do you know what? To be honest, I'm glad the football's cancelled, because I just wouldn't feel right doing it, and I don't feel right doing this, to be honest. But it's on, so I'm gonna do it. So I will be live later. On this SFeatleyTV, because of all the rescheduling. I will be live at I'll be live at 4:30. That's where I'm live at. I'm live at 4:30. We'll be debating whether the football should have been postponed this weekend or not. As much as I would probably get angry with people's views, I'd probably get angry with people's views about it. I will let people have their say, and let everyone have what they actually feel about it, whether they agree or not, disagree about football being stopped for this weekend. And we'll be doing our own tribute to the Queen, just going through her life and the service she's done. And obviously what's happened this morning with the King being proclaimed. King Charles III is now being proclaimed as King. So that will So we'll be going through that, and we will be going. Yeah, we'll be debating that. We'll be going through that about the proclamation of the new king. When likely the funeral will be Monday, as they're saying, which apparently is going to be a bank holiday, as the new king has said. Also, what else? We'll also probably predict when the actual coronation of the new king will be. Probably late 22, maybe early 23, because to be fair, she was proclaimed, Her Majesty the Queen was proclaimed Queen in 1952, and it didn't happen until the coronation didn't happen until 53. So, and that would be interesting to watch, because obviously last time that was televised, it was televised on 1952, and it's a bit difficult to follow back in 1952. But there you go. But a proclamation that we saw this morning has never been done on TV, so it's nice to see sort of tradition like that. So anyway, but like I said, we'll be talking about that, and I swear there's something else we'll be talking about as well. I swear there is. Oh yeah, we'll be talking about on the Hot Off the Press show the Lionesses as well becoming champions as well. Just to round that off as well. To end it on a football note. So there you go. Big up Mike. Hope you're doing well. Big up Rich. Graphics are pretty much the same as it was on this SFeatleyTV, mate. Once I get my green screen back, it'll be a lot better. And there you go. Done a video on my channel as a tribute to Her Majesty. Big up yourself. Yeah, I'll probably check it out later, mate. I'll probably check it out later. But I was gonna do the Hot Off the Press show yesterday, but I was after my match reaction and what I seen on Twitter, I was not in the mood. And by the way, Trevor Sinclair, you're a cunt. You're a cunt. Right? That was not the time. Not the time. I'll fight any discrimination. That is not the time. Hell no. What the fuck? Right? Surely, do you use a brain cell? Do you honestly use a brain cell? Because clearly, Trevor, right, you must be hitting the ball too much because you've got no brain cells. Right? Because if you had some brain cells, you would realise that would have been offensive for people that were fucking hurt by what's happened on Thursday. And as soon she's not even been put in her grave yet, and you're coming out of comments like that. Fuck off. Fuck off. Do one. Right? And do you know what's worse? Do you know what's worse, Trevor? You then don't help. You've not helped your fight, which I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to fight discrimination and racism, right? But putting stupid comments out like that as soon as someone's died, right? As soon as our monarch's died, right? And the whole country's hurting, right? You don't then help the cause to get the whole of Britain to change its attitude and stop racism. Did you not think that? For your tiny little mind? No. Honestly. Right? You're just like the rest of these dickheads on the Twitter. Right? Like the rest of them. Parasites. All of them. Everyone's been called out. Go cry like a baby. I don't give a fuck. Sorry, I couldn't give a shit. Football's been called off. What diddums, right? So what? You can't not watch football for one weekend. Jesus Christ. Or maybe even 2. Jesus, don't get out of your, don't fall off your chair, seriously. Honestly. Anyway, before I actually lose it, I'm off. Because I don't want to get angry again and not have to do, and then not be in the mood to do any other streams. So I will see you guys later. I am live on SFeatleyTV next with the watch along. And then I will be live with the Hot Off the Press show next. And yeah, we'll put the link in there. Can't be asked DMing it to everyone. So I'll put the link in there at some point. So make sure you go check that out. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.